airing those hips from coast to coast was pretty phenomenal.
And he just beelines it from the top of the run.
Everybody was like, oh, did anybody capture that? Because that was like the first time I think anybody had done that trick.
That footage was pretty gnarly.
Currently surprised that it's been 25 years.
25-year anniversary, that's an incredible feat.
I was always a fan of riding on Grouse Mountain and wanted to keep coming up to Grouse and hopefully get a free pass, so we suggested they open a terrain park and start doing some more events. And then over time they hired us on and we worked up here and turned it into something.
Before then, you had a snowboard, you're just ripping around the mountain, hitting natural features, then eventually they started building in dedicated areas.
Finally there was a time where we could just build and play, and that's what it felt like, just a park that we were responsible for.
There's been so much progression over the years. You know, you've watched it from the people putting in just random features, things like cars, and you know, jibbing was a big thing, and then jumping was a big thing.
In 2005, we started an event. It was called the Wind Down Showdown.
The Showdown over the city events were always really incredible. I think about back then as a kid how crazy that stuff was, even today.
It's the first showdown over the city. Dave Fortin launching it off the left side city hip.
Pretty phenomenal. That guy was like super gnarly dude. Awesome rider.
The height he got was just historic shot, I'll say. There's lots of media and photos and video.
Every time there was Showdown over the city, Seb Toots was the guy who was going to come in and do the Tootsie Roll, I think it was called at the time.
It was really cool to see them start and have the foundation for where it is now.
Alterna Films was definitely our longest serving partner.
At the end of every winter, we would do a big private session here at Grouse Mountain.
I remember seeing the features and going, oh, I know where that is. I know what run that's on. Oh, they took that feature that I saw when they were open to the public, and always being really, really impressed.
Working with Jeff and the team, they were always really progressive and allowing us to do stuff that not a lot of other parks were letting you do.
Definitely a lot of the features I thought had to change. They were real old and tall, and there was definitely some work to be done.
And it took about 3 or 4 seasons for us to get to where we needed our rail fleet to go. We started to think that we were missing something quite important on this mountain and on the North Shore, and that was a good park groomer. And one of those guys was Shaw Butterworth, so we hired him, which was, I think, going to be like a key to our success and for the years to come. And we had this idea of building a jump line on the cut, which is our premier run. That was like the beginning of this next generation of riding. The Uncorked project, that was a crazy good build. You know, the whole thing behind the Red Bull course was that it was designed by the riders. I think that event was just, it was a good booster for the mountain. It helped put our profile a bit more on the world stage than versus the local scene here.
I was speaking to people like from all over the world now, and I mention where I'm working, and they'll be like, yo, you guys built that Red Bull Uncorked.
That, I think, really showcased the expertise that we have. If you watch the short film, it just looks phenomenal, and these guys pretty much just, I think, showed what level we are amongst the industry. The teams over the years have been really, really committed. And there's a major passion for the terrain parks up at Grouse here.
I think a lot of people do recognize the work that goes into building a park, and like also the amount of thought that goes into it and the pride. I think it's really shown in all the features we put in.
Over the years, it's gotten awesome. They're clean cut, they're professional. It's not sort of a side thought or a hobby. They're real parks, and it's amazing. Early days of snowboarding, you had to get a snowboard license. You had to pass a test just to be allowed on the hill. You had to prove you could turn and stop. And you know, now we're at a place where it's everybody. And it doesn't really matter if you're a snowboarder or a skier. It's just about everybody having fun on the snow.